Alex Sittner, who's kind of a local hero. He's playing mono red, so he's playing one of those really fast aggro Burning Earth decks.
Nice.
His Burning Earths are in the board, but I kind of like what he's done with his deck. He's playing Stone Rights, Stromkirk Nobles, a full 4 Young Pyromancers in the main as well.
Absolutely. Young Pyromancer, one of the absolute best cards in M14.
Right, so we see right off the get-go a turn 1 Rakdos Cackler from Sittner and just a tapped land from Alan Lee. It looks like he is playing 9 1-drops, 8 2-drops, and a Chandra's Phoenix as his creature base. So he's really on the more aggressive end of things.
Yeah, I mean, when you're playing Shock, it is clear you are not a person to be trifled with.
Yeah. We see a Mutavault into Young Pyromancer from Sittner, pass back. So the spells he's running here, he actually has a full 17 spells. He's running a set of Pillars, Searing Spears, Brimstone Volleys, 3 Shocks, a Geist Flame, and a Weapon Surge.
Yeah, Geist Flame, particularly good times with Young Pyromancer for when you just need to go Mondo combo. But we have Dreadbore removing the Pyromancer.
Yeah, so this is mostly the Jun's plan against these smaller creature decks is to just early game play removal spells until it can stick one of its 4 or 5 drops.
Right. I mean, it really, you just kind of want to hang out and eventually play Huntmaster or Thragtusk.
All right, so from Sittner we see a 3rd land, a swing with the Mutavault that he played on turn 2. No other play on the board. He has Lee at 14.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be a different kind of matchup game 1 versus after sideboarding. Lee with just a single basic land in his deck. Plus Lifebane Zombie, well, it helps a lot against the red-green decks with Burning Earth. Not so good against a Shock, Geist Flame, mono red deck. Yeah. I think Alex is going to be a pretty big favorite here.
So we see from Lifebane Zombie, we see a Searing Spear. It looks like a mountain, and I believe it's 2 mountains, a Searing Spear, and a Young Pyromancer.
Yeah, and as we see, I mean, Lifebane Zombie, you know, doesn't always hit, but the information is always appreciated.
Well, I mean, here it's almost just acting like, it seems like it's acting like a removal spell, you know, right? It can block and trade with one of those creatures, and he gets information on top of that.
It's mostly a healing solve, I think.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna, it aspires to trade for 3 damage from a Searing Spear, but it is possible that it only trades for 2.
And Sittner's gonna.
Alex is offering the block.
He's offering the trade.
Interesting. Does he just have so much burn that he's just gonna go to the face?
I'll see how he plays it out. You're right. I was surprised to see that as well. He's gonna go with Young Pyromancer.
Could he just have played the Young Pyromancer and then Searing Speared the zombie and attacked for 2? He does 1 less damage, but he just has a Rakdos Cackler in play. Interesting. He must just be, huh?
I think he wants that burn spell to go to the face. He might think that Searing Spear,
or
if he doesn't
kill
think
Huntmaster.
If he doesn't think the Cackler is gonna deal more than, you know, get more than one damage, then it's right to trade the Cackler and throw the Searing Spear at the face, right? Which is what he's doing right now.
Yeah, but the Rakdos Cackler would have just attacked and did 2 damage.
Right. So, it putrefies there. In response, he's going to throw the Searing Spear at Lee's face, get that 1/1 elemental, and he has Lee down to 11. Sittner running low on cards here. He swings for 3. This is probably a little more land than he wants, or than he anticipates having. He is playing 18 mountains for Mutavaults.
So Alan Lee really needs, so here's the Huntmaster. If he plays a Thragtusk next turn, he's in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
Sure would be nice to still have a Rakdos Cackler in play. But
so Sittner, I don't believe on last turn had a spell. He's obviously going to need a spell this turn. He can't really, doesn't seem like he can afford to flip Lee's Huntmaster for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has
a Cackler, and he can.
And he has no swing there.
Yeah, because if he had a Cackler and a Mutavault in play, he could actually just swing with both and force Alan to take 2 more damage. He'd be at 1 lower from the attack last turn, so he'd actually be at 7 with Alex having an extra threat on the board. Huntmaster is going to flip, though. I think Alan Lee is probably, assuming that Huntmaster flips, I think Alan Lee will be in real good shape.
He's going to go with the Bonfire for 2, it looks like. He also has a Rakdos return hand. Obviously not ideal in this matchup, but the Bonfire of the Damned is pretty good here.
Absolutely.
And looks like no attacks from Lee. He's worried about Hasters coming out.
So what do you think about
wow.
Wow, aggressive.
End step Brimstone Volley to the dome for Lee puts
For 5.
for 5.
Now, he'd have Lee at 2 if he had gone the other way, but...
Do you think he has another Brimstone Volley? We see the swing of Mutavault, right? Does he have the Brimstone
does.
Volley? I mean, that's the read.
Yeah, the problem is that... So it looks like he doesn't, but the problem is that that's kind of a tough place to bluff, because if you have the Brimstone Volley, he's dead anyway.
Right.
Right, so,
So
you have
he's
to...
going to block it.
Right.
And the Huntmaster flips, puts Sittner down to 16. So the question is, I guess, would you still make that swing if you don't have the Brimstone Volley?
I mean,
It's because it's going to, as you said, it's going to trade with the Wolf, right?
yeah.
Like it has to.
All right, well, Sittner getting hit for 4. That Rakdos' return is helpful in that it's basically a time walk. Like it reduces the clock by a turn.
He's going to play
Who's
Olivia.
Olivia?
He did not leave up, and he's going to play Olivia and Rakdos return for 1.
Strange order to play them in, but nevertheless, this way his Huntmaster will flip, and he'll gain 2 more life.
So that's what he was going for.
Right, he just wants to gain 2 life and make sure that that he has as much cushion, life total cushion as possible.
All right, so Sittner, needing to find a way to deal 7, doesn't have it. We're going to move on to game 2.
Yep. So now, what does Sittner have in his sideboard for the Jun matchup?
All right, well, he has full 4 Burning Earths. I like his sideboard a lot, or it's very interesting. So he has 4 Burning Earths, 4 Thundermaw Hellkites, 3 Devil's Play, and then he also looks like he has this extra package where he has 1 Mountain and 3 Cathedral of Wars in his sideboard.
Now that's largely to support the Thundermaw Hellkites when he boards them in, getting his mana base up a little bit higher. But it's possible that he brings in some of those for the just Burning Earths. Not sure if he wants Thundermaw in this matchup. If he wants Thundermaw, he'll probably bring him in anyway. Although there is kind of a psychological impact. Whatever you think your correct play is, whatever your game plan was, sometimes when you flood out a little bit, you make a slightly different decision,
more lands.
which is, it's wrong. Like, you should board whatever is, like, whatever your plan, whatever is correct, whatever you believe is actually the right thing to do. It's tough to get too caught up on the emotion, particularly if, Alex is going to be on the play. If you're on the draw, maybe you can be down a land or whatever, but if you're going to be on the play, you got to just play it takes a strong, most players aren't going to be able to do this, but Alex is a pretty strong player. I got a feeling he'll actually correctly board in whatever land is appropriate for his plan.
Yeah, so the thing which I'm interested about is playing Cathedral of War out of the sideboard. So Cathedral of War, for those of you who aren't familiar, it's the exalted land. It makes colorless, comes into play tapped. It seems like he wants to bring that in matchups where he doesn't want to commit too many creatures because it can make one creature really powerful. I like the card in his style deck. I'm more interested as to why you'd be playing it out of the sideboard.
So main deck, he only wanted to play 22 land because his deck's got such a low mana curve. Mutavault, just a much stronger colorless land.
Absolutely.
So the question is, how much red mana do you need to be able to reliably play an Ashes Zealot on turn 2? Apparently for Alex, he decided that number was 18. However, if you're going to be boarding in land for a Thundermaw Hellkite, you don't need more mountains. You already got the 18 you believe you need. So boarding in more Cathedral of Wars makes it so that if you get a little bit flooded, at least it's like you have business.
Sure. So like you want to board in extra lands, but why not make them utility lands since you don't need more mountains?
Absolutely. And the reason he does have 1 mountain instead of the 4th Cathedral of War is likely because if you draw 2 Cathedral of Wars, it can be a little bit rough when one of your lands comes into play tapped, because you really want to hit that Burning Earth on turn 4 or that Thundermaw on turn 5.
So would you say this is a Thundermaw matchup?
I'm not so sure, because he's going to know that his opponent has cards like Putrefy and Dreadbore, Doomblade, anything like that, and it's a little bit slow. It might be. I don't have enough experience with the match to know there, but it's really against the Supreme Verdict type of decks is where he wants to be a Thundermaw Hellkite Burning Earth deck.
Right.
He might still want it here just because it is sort of a big burn spell, know. And
I wouldn't mind being a Burning Earth deck here.
Oh, for sure. But Burning Earth is
that's just in.
Yeah, Burning Earth is going to be his primary game plan after sideboarding here. Is put as much pressure on as he can, and then lock him out of being able to play spells. Burning Earth is so much more effective out of these red decks with burn than even than in the white Winnie decks with red or the green aggro decks with red. Because once you play Burning Earth, not only is their life total low and they're constricted in their ability to play spells, but you can actually finish them off. Like, for instance, Huey dropped to 4 life against a Burning Earth, Burning Earth player in the first round. No burn, but if he had been playing cards like Shock and Pillar of Flame and Searing Spear and Brimstone Valley and so on.
This is like the ideal kind, the Burning Earths, I think, are a lot stronger in Sittner's deck than they were in the red-green deck that we saw last time. Or just, you know, you don't. I think Sittner doesn't necessarily have to be ahead on the board to cast a Burning Earth.
Absolutely, this is the one strategy that really can just Burning Earth with reckless abandon. You know, he's got 18 basic mountains.
Sure.
And he just, regardless of if he's on board, he's not going to be taking any damage from it, and it's just such a powerful threat. And he's got so much burn, so that every single point, you know, every land tapped is a big deal. On the other side of it, Alan Lee, coming out of his board, he's got another Bonfire of the Damned, some Pillar of Flames. Do you think he might board in Golgari Charm?
Well, I know that a lot of times in these matchups, when I've talked with a lot of Jund pilots, they say, you know, you just want to be an all removal spell deck. Sometimes, you know, if your opponent's just playing creatures and you just remove the creatures, you can let your 4-drops really do the speaking in the matchup. So my guess is he would still board them in.
Well, I think he wants them for the Burning Earth.
Okay, yeah, for the Burning Earth too. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and actually, if you look at the creatures that Sittner has, he does play. I mean,
the Young Pyromancer can also be nice just to clean up all the 1/1s.
Right. So he's seen Young Pyromancer. He hasn't seen Stromkirk Noble or Stonewright, but it does work against both of those as well. Stromkirk Noble may be a question mark as to whether or not it would kill it. But my guess would be that Golgari Charm's a really fine card to board in here.
And then the only other possibility. Is there any chance he brings in Rorik Thar just for a giant? Or there's also Liliana, I suppose. I think Liliana is a little too slow.
Yeah, Liliana is a lot. I think it's just a 3-mana edict for the most.
So Alex misses his 1-drop, which is exactly. I mean, that's like the best case scenario for Alan Lee.
Yep. His turn 2 is a Mutavault, so no 2-drop. I believe Alex is on a mulligan here. And actually, the first creature made by Alan Lee, it's going to be a Scavenging Ooze. We do see a Burning Earth in Sittner's hand right now.
It looks like he also has a Young Pyromancer that he did not play. Do you think he's just waiting to get value, figuring it's going to die anyway, so I want to play a burn spell in the same turn so I get a 1/1 token?
That would be... I think that's a really interesting take on the matchup if that's how he's playing it. Then, you know, that's really him saying, I have to maximize the value on every card here.
And I think if that's your plan, you generally lead with Mutavault on turn 1 so that you can attack on turn 2 if you're just not going to play a spell, but...
Yeah, my guess is it's probably just drew the Mutavault on turn 2. We see a pair of Scavenging Oozes on Lee's side of the board. And now...
Is that Young Pyromancer or is that just Burning Earth?
I think it's just Burning Earth. I believe he has a Burning... I know he has a Burning Earth in hand. The rest of it I'm not really sure of.
I know he has a Foil Mountain.
Yes, he has a Foil Mountain too.
Not a lot of cheap burn spells. It'd be nice if he could shock some of those Scavenging Oozes before they grow. You know?
Yeah, if he could get both of them. I mean,
particularly since they can eat the Chandra's Phoenix in the right circumstance.
Is there a danger that if he kills one of them, that the other one will get out of burn range?
Absolutely.
So in that sense, maybe he just leaves both of them alive?
Could, but I think that the first one attacked before he knew there was a second one.
Yeah.
So I think
So he would have killed it at that point.
Yeah, he even had 2 mana on Alan Lee's end step the turn that the Scavenging Ooze was played.
Exactly. So Sittner does go turn 4, and you kind of said that was reckless, abandoned, Burning Earth. You know, this isn't exactly a board that Sittner's ahead on.
No, he's definitely behind a little bit. Not by a lot, but he's definitely behind. However, these red decks can just Burning Earth left and right, you know? It's just fantastic in there.
Lee's going to take 3.
Yeah, so now already Burning Earth has been like a Searing Spear.
So life 3 for a Lifebane zombie. And we see Thundermaw Hellkite, Brimstone Volley, Ash Zealot, Cackler. I am wondering here, is Lifebane Zombie worth the 3 life? That seems... Ugh, it seems close to me.
Well, it's going to eat a burn spell, but he just wants to commit as much aggression. He now has Alex on a 2-turn clock.
Okay.
He's forcing Alex to, and if Alex uses any kind of defense to fight the Lifebane Zombie, he's getting back some of his life. So I think it's probably a good play in this spot.
Right. If he hits another land here, I have to think we're seeing a Thundermaw Hellkite. Otherwise, Sittner still has a bunch of good plays. We saw he has Ash Zealot, Rakdos Cackler as a possibility this time.
There's that Thundermaw we talked about.
All right, so 7 in the air. That's a 2, because of the 3 damage that Lee took, that's going to be a 2-turn clock. Lee drops to 6.
Yep. But if Lee has a removal spell, God, it's tough because he missed his land.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have
yeah, I think he's just dead to the Thundermaw.
When Steve Argyle would be joining us, the answer is now.
Because if he Doom Blades the Thundermaw, he can eat it with this eating. It doesn't give him any life. So I guess if he Doom Blades the Thundermaw, he's still dead to Brimstone Volley.
Right. Because he goes to 4 on the Doom Blade.
Yeah, I think he's just dead to the board now. As we saw, Burning Earth just unbelievable in these red aggro decks.
So how much is this Burning Earth doing the work, and how much is this just Thundermaw Hellkite doing the work?
Well, I mean, Burning Earth has done 5 damage already.
Okay.
And prevents any kind of lines of counterplay. So I think, I mean, Thundermaw Hellkite was definitely a 5-power haste creature that got in there, but Burning Earth was also 5 points of damage for 4 mana.
I mean, a pretty big statement there by Sittner, taking down game 2 pretty quickly.
And keep in mind, I mean, Alan misses 4th land drop.
Right, he had the Hunt Master.
Right. If Sittner had, if Alan Lee had hit his 4th land drop, that Burning Earth would still have crippled him because of, it would do 4 damage to him when he played the Hunt Master, and I think it's just going to be super, super tough. Like, it's all fun in games game 1 when he doesn't have Burning Earth, but Burning Earth is definitely, the party is over. Return to Ravnica has let you do all kinds of crazy things for a year now.
Now they're going to punish you for it.
Yeah, now you're going to have to be at least halfway honest these days.
So it seems to me what surprised me more with Lee's hand is that he didn't actually have the kill spell for Thundermaw Hellkite. I've seen a lot of these Jund decks, when they go up to 4 Lifebane Zombies, seem to be cutting some number of their just 1-for-1 removal spells. As we see here with Lee, he has 2 Putrefy, 2 Dreadbore, 2 Tragic Slip, no Abrupt Decay. Granted, that wouldn't kill a Hellkite.
And
are these decks becoming, I'm worried, are they becoming soft to Thundermaw?
And that's a big part of the reason why Kibler cut his green fatties for Thundermaws, is that, Thundermaw Hellkite is still just fantastic against people who don't play enough removal.
Yeah.
And so we were wondering before game 2, for sure is Thundermaw coming in? Wasn't positive, but as it turns out, he correctly identified that this is another spot where the Thundermaw Hellkite is the right type of threat. Something not fragile.
It's like, say Lee hits his 4th land drop, makes Hunt Master there. If he doesn't have that kill spell, I feel like Thundermaw plus the burn spells in Alex's hand are probably going to race him anyway. Like there's very few games where I can remember, where one player takes 2 Thundermaw hits and doesn't die.
Yeah, but you're not going to change your sideboard plan based on the games where your opponent misses a land drop and doesn't have a removal spell.
Right. I mean, to be fair, Lee didn't even know that there were Thundermaws in Sittner's deck.
Right. Although I think you got to imagine every mono red player is
playing Thundermaws.
Well, it's in their range at the very least.
Yeah.
You play around it if you can. If you can't, whatever. But are you suggesting not playing Burning Earth in the red decks, or?
No. I mean, I think you still play, but obviously I think you still play Burning Earth. I was just kind of noticing with that game that I don't know if the Burning Earth made the difference there. I feel like it was more the Thundermaw that did. Well, like an unanswered Thundermaw. I mean, they're both great weapons. I think that much.
Like Zach Hill would say, it's all about the interactions between all the cards.
Yeah.
Right. Like if Alex had missed a land drop, then we could say that it was Alex's 4th red that made all the difference.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, I think it's definitely one of those, just each one is giving you some percentages. Burning Earth gives you some amount of percentage, Thundermaw Hellkite gives you some amount of percentage, hitting your lands, having a stable mana base. And no question, these red decks have more stable mana bases than Jund, particularly when they are wise enough to play land in their sideboard to give them options.
So it doesn't look like either player particularly, I was watching there, Lee didn't even reach for his sideboard between games. Happy with how he's configured for game 2. For game 3, Lee's going to 6 here. He's against Alex staying on 7.
Yep, and you said that last game, Alex had mulliganed, right?
I believe Alex had mulliganed last game.
It is a lot easier to mulligan when you board in 4 land.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that Alex is just like, yeah, most of my cards don't really do a ton, but I've got some real high impact ones. I kind of just want to, present a little bit of damage early on and then drop things like Burning Earth, Thundermaw Hellkite. He doesn't have Hellrider, but Alan Lee doesn't know that.
Well, it's interesting, so what you said is, those high impact threats. A lot of times mono red, in some incarnations, to me, has always been a deck that mulligans really poorly, because it's kind of like this philosophy of fire style deck where, it's harder to count to 20 with fewer cards. But when you have a card like Burning Earth or Thundermaw that, can do 10 damage on its own, it kind of gives red the ability to mulligan more often than you'd expect.
Yeah, I think that it really comes down to how much of a lava spike deck are you versus how much of a red deck wins are you. Because if you're playing like lots of lava spikes, every mulligan is just brutal.
Right.
But if you're playing with a lot of jackal pups, if you have a bunch of 1-cost creatures, you can very easily. I mean, you could win a game. Like if your hand is 2 mountains and 3 1-drops, you could very easily just roll over somebody on a mold of 5. You know.
Right. So we see a turn 1 Stomping Ground into a turn 2 Farseek from Alan Lee. Just a Cathedral of War from Sittner, so he has boarded those in.
And are we going to see the basic swamp, the 1 basic swamp, make an appearance? No, he says,
fear.
you know what? Well, no, it's not even fear. I think it's one of those no chance anyway.
Yeah.
1 swamp is not going to save me.
Right. He can maybe cast a Tragic Slip.
Yep, and if he needs a second red, that's kind of an indication that he has Mizzy Mortars, right? Oh, yeah, because he already, or it's the 3rd green for the Garuk, but there's no other cards in his deck that would make him want to go get Stomping Ground besides the 1 Garuk or the 1 Mizzy Mortars.
So a second land from Sittner is a mountain, and he still has no play. So that says, no Pyromancer or Stromkirk or Stonewright. It seems like, and he.
But how many of those do you suppose he boarded out? I mean, did he board out his shocks? Like he had to board out a lot
I think
because
shock comes out.
He boarded in 12 cards.
You're right. I don't know. I think shock would come out. We see as in turn 3, Sittner
Possibly board out Stonewright, just because against somebody with a lot of removal, it's always a Monza's Goblin Raider.
Yeah. So it's interesting. We saw a 3rd land from Sittner as a Mutavault. Actually, the first creature of the game is going to be Alan Lee's Thragtusk on turn 4.
Yeah, definitely a tough break for Alex. He really wants to get Burning Earth down before Thragtusk. Make him take 5 for it.
And he's actually going to go ahead and Brimstone Volley the Thragtusk on end step. Yeah, it looks like he does have a Thundermaw in his hand.
One downside of these Cathedral of Wars is that they do cause you to take a little bit more damage from your Burning Earth. Not much, though.
And Alex actually with no land past the 3rd one.
It's tough when you're 26 land in your mono red deck, but still misses his land drop.
Yeah, I'm a little interested in the keep that Alex had here. He snap kept a 7, so which meant that like the hand was lining up with the game plan that he wanted. But right now it seems like it's really not doing that much. I mean, obviously, he's missing his land drops. That's really unfortunate. But what it looks to me is like that his hand is full of a lot of high impact cards.
Yeah, I mean, he can very much establish control. If he drops a Burning Earth, even if he's got no board at all, Alan Lee is going to be able to cast so few spells for the rest of the game.
Right. So he actually, on end step there, he Brimstone Volleys uses a second Brimstone Volley to take care of the second half of a Thragtusk. Alex still with no more land, but he had kept the board clean for a while until Lee drew this Huntmaster.
Yeah, if Alex has another burn spell, he's got to kill the Huntmaster immediately. It's unfortunate that it has to go this way for Alex, but you got to do what you got to do. He still can establish control. If he kills the Huntmaster, he only needs 2 more land to be in a, halfway decent shape.
We see 2 cards remaining in Lee's hand. One of them actually is a Golgari Charm. So Pillar's going to take care of the Huntmaster. Alan actually did not have enough lands up to represent Golgari Charm, so Alex kind of dodges a bullet there.
Interesting. Well, commits the Mutavault to trade with a wolf.
Well, it exalts.
Right.
So it's a 3/3.
Uh-oh. Alan doesn't see.
And I think Alan missed the exalt.
But did Alex point out the exalted trigger? You can't
just
do that.
You can't just do that. You have to say
right.
exalted.
I think we're going to find Alex's Mutavault in the graveyard. No.
Okay.
He just goes for it. Don't you have to announce the exalted
I believe
trigger?
you have to announce the... we'll get it. We actually... You only have to announce it at the time of damage.
That's right. They changed it 4 times, not 3.
Yeah, so if you attack, you can just say, and your guy takes 3. And at that point, you're like, oh, okay, it's exalted.
So I think if you're Alan Lee, don't you consider using the Golgari Charm there to kill the Mutavault? He had the mana.
I would. Yeah, I think what he's it looks like... Yeah, I definitely would have. I mean, I think, as it turns out in retrospect, he top-decked this Olivia, and now having Golgari Charm with this Olivia is pretty nice. But I also think, before you draw the Olivia, yeah, I would have liked to kill the Mutavault.
Yeah, but even still, I'd rather... I mean, I don't know. I guess I would rather have the... It's tough. We'll see if the Golgari Charm saves the Olivia, but it'd be nice to be able to keep that Mutavault down just to... All right, well, if Alex doesn't have Burning Earth anyway.
I think Alex does have Burning Earth.
No, I'm saying he's not playing it yet.
Oh, yeah, he's not... Right, he's not casting it yet. And we're going to see another Brimstone Volley.
And he does not use the Golgari Charm. He has enough fear and respect for the Burning Earth that he saves the Golgari Charm, assuming he has one.
Yeah.
Saves the the Golgari Charm for the Burning Earth.
I believe that Golgari Charm is the last card in Lee's hand now.
Wow, he didn't get the swamp this time.
No, he's just on the I'm going to Golgari Charm or Burning Earth plan.
Yeah, but I think you still like. There's nothing gained by getting the shock land other than making one of your, making your 8th land if you draw it. If you to play on tap.
It's your 4th red.
Yeah, I think you gotta just go get swamped there, but not that it matters a ton. But
so I like this. On about turn 7, we finally see Alex play a creature, and it's going to be a Chandra's Phoenix that swings in for 3. Scott and Alan Lee down to 24.
Absolutely, it's going to be a long, slow grind for Alex Sittner's mono red, but Alan Lee doesn't really have a ton of ways to punish him and is a little bit flooded.
Yep, he has just 2 cards left. Not sure if either of them are. Neither of them appears to be a threat, though.
Yeah, if one is it's possible one is Golgari Charm. If so, Alex is correctly not playing his Burning Earth until he has no other good threats to play.
All right,
now here it is. And now the moment of truth. Does Alan add 2 mana? He does. Sounds like he's indicating that he is floating 2 mana. And
for Burning Earth. Right. So he takes care of the first one. And that was a play that Lee was really building up for a lot of turns. Because, we saw him...
It looks like Alan Lee actually did wait until the Burning Earth was in play to take the 2 damage.
Yeah. But, yeah, that was really... we saw him have a couple of opportunities. We saw him... He could have killed a Mutavault with it. He decided not to. He could have saved an Olivia with it. He decided not to. He was very concerned about this Burning Earth.
Yeah. And sometimes things are happening real quick, but the line to look for in the future is definitely float 2 mana, and then after the Burning Earth is in play, destroy it.
Right.
But as it is, now he's looking at a Thundermaw. Now, do you think? Yeah. So that's in for 7. At this point, there's very little Alan can do. He needs to draw. I mean, obviously, an Olivia can just take over the game. But he needs to draw an answer to Thundermaw pretty quickly.
And now he does draw his basic swamp. And he's going to go, and he has enough to bonfire for 5.
Yeah, this is one spot where I sure would rather have a Burning Earth than a Thundermaw.
Yeah, probably couldn't make that work. Wouldn't really have that option.
That said, Alex still has 2 Mutavaults and an Ash Zealot, so that's
a lot of damage. That is 6. Putting Lee down to 6. And that'll represent lethal next turn.
Alan's going to need a nice one off the top. Thragtusk is probably the beginning of the comeback. And he extends
doesn't get it.
Alex Sittner takes the match 2-1 over Alan Lee.
Yeah, really, on the back of both those post-board games, I would say both games 2 and 3, Alex was really able to capitalize just off the power of Burning Earth and Thundermaw. He had both of them, both games, and they really just seemed to be backbreaking plays against Alan Lee's Jund deck.
Well, and he drew out of his mana light situation. I mean, when you board in 4 land, you draw your Cathedral. Instead of lamenting, oh, one of my 2 land is Cathedral. Actually, aren't you happy you drew 2 land instead of 1?
Yeah.
This is when you board 12 cards in a matchup, you hope that you can have a big impact on it, and he did.
So what it looks like, when I'm trying to picture what Alex kept, it looked like the kind of hand he kept was, Mountain, Cathedral, Mutavault, Volley, Burning Earth, Thundermaw. And it's interesting because in this kind of matchup, he looks at that hand and he's like, okay, yes, this is what I want in the matchup.
Yeah, I mean...
Because that's so different than what his deck does game 1.
Yeah, but he probably boarded out a lot of his 1-drops and his cheap burn because he knows he's got to he's going to have to go with big, high-impact cards. Lee has too many good ways to deal with cheap creatures. And the cheap creatures get brick-walled by things